it's the same thing we do here, but it takes a little bit longer because obviously.
That's what I do with the RP. I let it just idle because it has a turbo on it.
Yeah.
So I just let it just build it for a little while.
Same concept here, right? So we're cooling down the turbo, and we run the that oil pump too for a little bit to run the oil through the system as well.
At 4, visibility 7, sky conditions, broken ceiling 4,000. Temperature 21, dew point 13, altimeter 3000. Runway 36 in use. Expect a visual approach. Pattern altitude is 1,000 feet. Helicopters operating west, runway 36, surface to 600 feet. Feedback runway hold short instructions and runway assignments. Use caution for bird activity at Space Coast Regional Airport. Inform patrol on
Start seeing the traffic popping up.
Information golf. Space Coast status information golf, observation time 1547 Zulu. Wind variable at 4, visibility 7, sky conditions, broken ceiling 4,000. Temperature 21, dew point 13, altimeter 3000. Runway 36 in use. Visual approach. Pattern altitude is 1,000 feet. Helicopters operating.
So you got a little flip-flop here. You got 2 controls on the cyclic for me that I flip-flop. You don't have them on here. You just have a trigger for push to talk.
Oh, to flip these 2?
Yeah, to flip that. So I got the channels pre-programmed, ATIS, ground, tower, and I can flip-flop that. I like the gloves because I like the grip.
Hey.
Some guys like make fun of, hey, what are you wearing gloves for? What are you freaking back in the military? And I was like, nah, I just like gloves. And then these are touch sensitive too, so
Whatever you're comfortable with, what you're comfortable with.
Like I said, do you have to have a helmet? Do you have to have all this stuff? No, but you know, I do. Okay, so what we're going to do here now, we got our oil temperature, water temperature, everything is up here. We do a systems check, so I start from the right to left. These are your fuel pumps, dual fuel pumps, right? So we turn one off. I've got a fuel pressure gauge here, looking for a 5 to 7 psi drop. That's by my toes. You can't really see it on your side. Look for my drop. Looks good. Okay, ignition. So we're turning off one set of plugs, two spark plugs per cylinder, very common in a GA aircraft. And you turn the other ones off, and we're still running. You probably won't even notice a drop in the engine RPM. Negligible. I think we dropped maybe 30. Okay, FADEC computer, right? So we turn one off. These are our FADEC lights. So the green light went off, we turn it back on, gives you, hey, this is a code, that one is dead. So if you lose a FADEC, the green light goes off, you either get a code for yellow, like I've got some kind of code, like check engine light, and then red for the FADEC is dead. And you check the other one.
So these are just FADEC?
Yeah, they're dummy lights for the FADEC, yep.
All right.
Just like in your car. So that's a test sequence we do, we make sure everything's good. I usually like to fly with the water temperature, the digits here, because it's a little bit more accurate than the water temperature analog gauge here. So you should notice that once you get up to about 180 degrees, the thermostat opens up because it's liquid cooled, radiator system back there, and it should open up and the temperature goes down to like 175 or so, 180, it opens up, comes back down. During the summertime, your oil temperature usually will get up pretty high in the green arc, if not into the bottom of the yellow arc there, because it's just so hot back there. And a lot of people will talk about heating as an issue with the Rotorway. They get hot. I mean, there's like nothing you can do about it. So it's just something you manage. You don't hover for too long.
Just get some airflow over there.
You gotta get some airflow back there, or you just set it down, let it cool down, and then pick it back up until hover. And usually you set it down for a minute or two, you're good. Okay, so with that said, we're gonna do a run up. So we're going to run the engine up with the throttle on my left hand on the collective, just like a motorcycle grip. We're going to run it up to 100%.
You go the opposite. Right?
Yeah, so I roll up like this.
Yeah.
And we're listening, we're smelling. So everything sounds good. Rotor is the R, E is the engine. All right? So at 100% we do what's called a sprag clutch check. We roll off the throttle slowly. We make sure we have a split, right? There's a low rotor RPM. So the rotor came down slower than the engine.
Right.
That means that sprag clutch disengaged from the engine to allow us to have auto rotation capability.
So you just want them to do that?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That's what's called our needle split. And this is up and running, so I'm just going to go to altitude on that. All right, I want you to take a good look on the right side for me. Everything's clear on the left.
Yep. All right.
And we get light on the skid, right pedal, aft right cyclic, throttle's coming up. CG check looks good. Clear to slide left. Still clear left. That feels pretty good. So we're just going to come out here and just hover for a little bit.
It's so sketchy next to your truck. Like,
oh yeah, I'm so used to hovering next to the golf cart. It just doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah,
if I'm uncomfortable with it at any time, I just land and get my ground handling the wheels.
Yeah.
Usually if it's windy is the problem. All right, so we're just looking at everything. We're hovering at about 36 inches of manifold pressure. The gauge on the left of the radio is manifold pressure. Everything's good. So I'm just making my control inputs here. Throttle, as I get a little low on the RPM, I just add a little bit of throttle.
So
and you just twist it on.
Do you have a governor that can hold it within a range?
No governor, yeah. You got to do it manually. So as I pull up on the collective, I got to add throttle. We're going to get out of ground effect hover. So ground effect is anything within the rotor diameter, so about 25 feet. We're probably about 50. So we're out of ground effect, and we're pulling 38 inches. We couldn't have done this before without the turbo, right? So everything looks really, really good right now. You know, I like the way the manifold pressure is looking. I've pulled about 40 inches, and I still had more to go. So, I mean, it's insane. So we're into the wind. Everything feels pretty good here. So we'll just hover a little bit. Make sure she's running good.
She seems balanced because it's not...
Yeah, you don't have a lot of shudder, right? So a well-balanced machine, you're not going to get a lot of that kind of what I call a hop, where you got a vertical hop.
Yeah, you feel it kind of like...
Yep. And then if you have an unbalanced tail rotor, when you put your feet on the pedals, you feel a lot of vibration, high-frequency vibration in the pedals. So you kind of get what I call the tuned butt. You can kind of feel, hey, man, that doesn't feel right. You're in tune with the machine. You might smell a little oil burning as, you know, something leaks onto the exhaust. So I'll set it down here, and we can talk about the controls a little bit. I like to practice landing on these little pads here. I've got aluminum skids, so when you land on a lot of concrete, a lot of times you start kind of grinding the bottom of them. There's skid shoes you can get.
Who put these here?
This was part of the flight school. At one time, they used to park a bunch of helicopters down here, but since the economy kind of crashed years ago, they kind of started parking more on the north side over there. They have a hell of a lot less. This used to be all full of Schweitzer 300 helicopters.
Wow.
Okay, so you know the basic controls in a helicopter, right? So you've got a little flight time. So the cyclic, that controls the pitch and roll of the aircraft. That's tilting the disc forward, aft, left, and right.
Yeah.
The collective, which is the lever on my left side, we would have one here, but I took it out just for comfort right now, is going to change collectively the pitch of both blades at the same time. So it increases and decreases angle of attack, which is the vertical component. Also on the collective is the throttle. It's your motorcycle grip. So you go like this, the increase, and then this, the decrease. So as you pull up, you got to add throttle. As you reduce it, you got to take it off. And it's just a little bit. This is usually what I'm doing with that.
That's it. Okay.
Anti-torque pedals, those are to counteract the torque. In this aircraft, we rotate clockwise. So the aircraft wants to go the opposite way, goes to the left, the nose. So you have to add right pedal as the power pedal in this aircraft. So when I pull up on the collective, increase power, I have to add right pedal and right cyclic because I'm counteracting the thrust of the tail rotor, and we carefully pick it up like so. Okay. And then I'm making the small inputs here. So the first control that I'll have you try is going to be the pedals. So go ahead and put your feet on the pedals.
Okay.
All right, so all you got to do is pressure, counter pressure on these things. So I want to go to the right, just feel what I do. I just add a little bit of right pressure. You could probably not even tell that I did that.
Barely anything.
Barely anything, right? And then I want to go back to the left. I just kind of take off a little bit of pressure.
So you're really not using your left. You're just...
Mostly the right when we're at a hover, right?
Yep.
So what I want you to do is try to keep us pointed at that blue helicopter that's 12 o'clock.
Okay.
You have the pedals. I'm off the pedals.
All right.
So add right pedal. I got everything else. And then stop right there. There you go. Excellent. Give me 90 degrees to the right. Point us at the white hangers. There you go. And then slowly come back to the left. So the danger is you don't want to go back to the left too fast because then you have to counteract it with thrust from the tail rotor that takes energy away from the engine. It takes more power. So turns to the left are always a lot slower than turns to the right.
A lot slower that way?
You want to do them slower to the left so you don't you basically spin so fast that you don't have enough tail rotor authority to stop the left turn.
You can feel it just a little left. It wants to go that way.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You just put a little.
Because if we lost the tail rotor right now, she would spin hard to the left, and I would have to wrap off on the throttle like that
and just
to set it down, just like that. So you can see it doesn't take much to bring her down, and then I bring the throttle up and she comes back up. So you're always prepared for that, right? If you lose the tail rotor, what you're going to do. I got the pedals.
Yeah,
okay. So come on me with the cyclic. And you can feel that I've got a little bit of right cyclic in because we got tail rotor thrust we're compensating because it wants a left translating tendency.
Okay.
So I'm always kind of a little bit of right cyclic.
Notice that, yeah.
Yep. And that's just because of the tail rotor thrust is counteracting the main torque.
Okay.
So your inputs on this, I tell people you got to be nice and easy. It's like pressure, counter pressures in here. So I want to keep us over this area. I'm kind of looking in and out with my eyes, not so much with my head, but my eyes, to kind of keep our spot here. So you can go ahead, take the cyclic, and just try to keep us in the circle here the best you can. I won't make sure you won't get too far away.
All right.
There you go. You've got it.
I don't know how much pressure to even put on it.
Whatever you need to do to stop the movement.
Okay.
You got it again. See that? There you go. Settle down.
Yeah. I'm looking way out there.
Yeah, that's okay. There you go. You got it again. Little half cyclic now because you're creeping forward. There you go. See the nose comes down. You're gonna have to counteract that. It takes a little while because you've got a little bit of a pendulum that you're dealing with.
Keys ready to taxi with golf for a westbound departure.
I have control.
2385 Delta Space, so it's going to runway 36 times to be
sensitive.
Oh yeah. This is pretty damn sensitive. All right, so the tail's clear to the left. We're gonna come over here, take a look. I know I make this look easy, but it's just years of experience. So you'll get here soon enough if you do your training. It doesn't take long.
No, it'll probably take another hour or so of doing this to get back into doing it.
Okay, so you can take the cyclic again and do the same thing. Keep me over this spot here. Half cyclic. Stop. Hold what you got.
Yep.
Okay. Let it settle down. Half cyclic again. I got the right pedal in there.
I'm trying to look for it.
Yeah. Not too much. So you start overcompensating, you're going to start woboing all over the place.
Right. Back and forth.
Exactly. So you notice, like here, this is all I'm doing. Just keep feeling what I'm doing. That's it.
But you're constantly moving up.
Oh yeah, little inputs. That's all you need to really move it.
What I'm not doing is that.
Yep. That's it. There you go. See, now you're just making smaller movements versus bigger movements.
Yeah.
Because you have to counteract what the helicopter's doing. I just gave you a bigger area to maneuver around, that's all.
Yeah, that's it. That was the key right there.
That's it. Half cyclic, I got you.
She wants to go, man.
She does. She wants to go.
Holy cow.
Plus, there's a lot of weight up front. You got a big boy up in the front left seat here, so she's a little bit nose heavy. Alrighty, doing good. Getting better. You're settling down, that's all it is.
Yeah.
Now we just got to keep you in half a football field, that's all. Alright, I have control. I'll bring us back a little bit here.
That was the key, though. It was the little
smaller movements.
Bigger movements.
See, once you start doing this, you start pendulling.
Yeah.
And you're all over the place. And guys I don't even know how to demonstrate that. Honestly, I'm just...
Because you're constantly doing that.
Right, because you're not even thinking what you're doing, right? So you're just like, I'm doing what I need to do to keep my helicopter. I want to keep it over this yellow faded out line.
Right.
I'm just making my inputs, and I'm not even thinking about it. But you can see how little I have to move it.
Yeah, you're within this right here.
Right.
You haven't moved that.
So, okay, you got it again. There you go. And you notice once you start doing all that stuff, the nose starts going all over the place too, because it's all correlated to each other. Because you're changing the direction of the pitch and the lift and everything, so it makes the helicopter kind of get squirrely all over the place. Good, you're settling down, see? I'd say we could probably have you hovering in 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, most fixed wing guys can pick this up pretty fast.
But you just anticipate it. It's basically what you're doing.
Yep, you got to anticipate what the aircraft is going to do. Okay, I have all controls. Alrighty. Feel pretty good. We're going to go up to altitude, do a couple turns. Clear on the left and right. Space Coast ground, helicopter 8006 Alpha.
November 8006 Alpha, Space Coast ground.
8006 Alpha, we're on the East T hangar ramp with information to go up. Like to join the traffic pattern for a couple turns. If we can do Alpha Charlie intersection.
November 8006 Alpha, Space Coast ground, runway 36 at Charlie, taxi via taxiway Charlie.
Okay, we'll go Charlie for the 36 intersection, helicopter 8006 Alpha, thanks.
I like the direct field. I flew the R-22 a little bit, and then got into R-44, which was hydraulically assisted. So much easier.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. This, you don't need it. I mean, you can feel how light these controls are. Tower helicopter 8006 Alpha, Charlie intersection short 36, ready for takeoff. Gonna stay in the pattern.
Helicopter 8006 Alpha, Space Coast Tower, runway 36 at Charlie, clear for takeoff. Make right traffic, report him in for downwind each time.
Okay, 36 Charlie intersection clear, takeoff, right traffic, report midfield, helicopter 8006 Alpha. And we just push forward slightly. We stay close to the ground until we get what's called effective translational lift. Clean air in the rotor system. There's about 20 to 30 knots. Left pedal, trim the aircraft, 50 miles an hour. We're looking for 60 to 70, and we climb out at that airspeed.
Because you're getting the ETF?
Yep, effective translational lift, you got it. And then I use by feel.
Space Tower, Skyhawk 5385 Delta.
Because if I got a little too much wind coming on my side, I just do a little left pedal.
Skyhawk 5385 Delta, Space Coast Tower, runway 36.
And we're always looking, monitoring, smelling, listening for any kind of unusual noises.
You get like a burning oil smell, you're gonna...
Right. You know, sometimes I get a little burning because I'll get a drop or two of oil and it goes on the exhaust. As long as it's away after a second or two, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's a lot of pressure going on back there, so you're going to get a little droplets coming around. But like this thing notoriously leaks around the valve gasket covers.
Oh,
clear
really?
right. So you're constantly looking for that, retorquing the valve cover bolts and stuff. And I smell a little bit right now, but it's not continuous. Every once in a while you get a drop.
Even though you got hundreds of places to land.
Oh yeah.
Like if you had to, you could land right there.
I can land on that road. I can land right there in the parking lot. So many places. And we go up to about 1,000 feet here for the traffic pattern. It makes the guys happy. And we're just going to do a normal approach to the numbers, and then the second turn around I'll show you the auto rotation and explain what that's all about.
Cool.
Helicopter 8006 Alpha, midfield downwind, runway 36. Slow approach.
And helicopter 06 Alpha, runway 36, clear low approach.
Good low approach, runway 36, helicopter 8006 Alpha. At 1,000 feet, we reduce the power. I'm looking at manifold pressure, roll off the throttle slightly, about 30, 31 inches. And then I just pitch for altitude like that's my primary instrument.
Because now we got all this airflow.
All right, we got all the airflow. We cruise between 70 and 80 miles an hour at about 31 inches, maintaining 100% RPM.
How do these guys get to the never exceed, which is like 105 or something like that?
I mean, you can do that. It's 110 on the rotor if you overspeed the rotor in an auto rotation. So it can happen, but you gotta be careful and manage it with the collective. So we're beaming the numbers, so I start rolling the throttle off a little bit, reducing the collective to about, I'd say 25, 23 inches. And you notice now we're starting a downward trend, right?
Yep.
400 to 500 feet per minute. Got my landing area in sight. 70 mile per hour is our approach speed.
5 miles to the southwest, request inbound for a full stop with information Golf. Helicopter 1600 Zulu, Space Coast Tower, report the interstate inbound.
And if we need to come down faster, we go to 20 inches, whatever you need to do. So.
And now with that chopping, that's the blades doing all the power.
Yep,
right?
that's the blades chopping through the air.
Which means it's less engine power, torque, over the...
So we're almost decoupled from the engine at this point. We're almost
so it's almost spinning itself.
Yeah, it's almost spinning itself in a windmill auto-rotative approach now. So the auto rotation wouldn't be much faster than this. It'd be about 12 to 1,500 feet per minute. Down, we're doing about 900 right now, so.
Pretty comfortable, actually.
Oh yeah. You see how I rolled off the throttle a little bit there?
I heard it before I felt it.
Oh yeah. And then we're coming in a little fast, but we'll do a cyclic flare here to the numbers. Add the power and throttle. Below the shutter of the ETL, right pedal to the numbers, and then pitch it down. Maintain runway alignment.
155 Alpha Papa, 2 miles.
Let her accelerate through effective translational lift.
75 Alpha Papa, runway 36, clear to land.
60, you said?
60 miles an hour. We're starting our upward trend, so if we had to auto rotate, we could do it now. We have enough energy, and let her keep speeding up. I keep the power around 35, 36, 65. You get a little bit of a blowback effect, and she climbs out nicely. And we're always monitoring. Little whip, but it's gone, right? So, but that's like how the flow comes from the exhaust of the engine and everything. Sometimes it whips around, so you'll smell a little engine exhaust in here. But as long as it's not continuous, it's not a big deal.
How's this thing in the wind?
She's fine. You just got to be very careful because she'll bump around a lot, but she can take the bumps pretty good. The thing is, you don't want somebody doing this,
right?
Because then you'll start over-controlling the rotor disc, and you can actually get in a condition called mass bumping, where you can,
which is negative.
Right, negative G, and you can basically the rotor blade can leave the aircraft. That's not good.
Oh,
yeah. So I tell people in turbulent conditions, let it ride what it's going to do, just like an airplane. Don't try to overcompensate. That's all. Clear it. You just
Helicopter 000 spot 1, you clear to land.
just calmly control it. That's all you got to do.
just cruising, man.
It is, oh yeah. Cruising around.
You get to watch a few,
Yeah, that's the shuttle landing facility was over there, vehicle assembly, Kennedy Space Center.
75 Alpha Papa, Fable turn right on Echo, right on Alpha, taxi back to runway 36.
They let you go pretty far over that water, huh?
Oh yeah.
Right on Echo, right on Alpha, back to 36, 15 Alpha
like
Papa.
came out of traffic 2 o'clock.
Yep.
400 feet.
Helicopter 06 Alpha, midfield downwind, runway 36, low approach.
Helicopter 06 Alpha, runway 36, clear low approach.
Clear low approach, runway 36, helicopter 06 Alpha. I've got a little bit of a grounding issue with my radio, so sometimes it spikes the RPM, and that's why you get that little... It's spiking it, and it shows it over 110, and that's the buzzard saying, hey, you're pulling too much.
It's like testing it.
Yeah, so I know where the ground is. I'm going to change it because it's sharing the ground with the radio, and that share the same common ground on the bus. I'm going to change where the ground is on this, and it should fix that problem. But it's always something. You're always tweaking. That's what I tell guys. You got to be prepared to fix little squawks and stuff like that on your own. So the auto rotation. So we talked about that. The altitude. That potential energy of the altitude. We're going to trade that for basically keeping the rotor at 100%. And we get in what's called the auto-rotative descent. So the upward airflow into the rotor system is going to keep the rotor spinning at 100% like a windmill in the wind. And then we trade that altitude and energy at the bottom to do a flare so we can safely land anywhere we want to. So I usually enter the maneuver about 1,000 feet, 100% RPM, 70 to 80 miles an hour. And I'll enter the maneuver by lowering the collective, rolling the throttle off, aft and left pedal. So it's down, aft, left is what I use my little ditty to remember.
Down, aft, left.
So we come over the numbers into the chin here. We count down 3, 2, 1, down, left, aft. Push this. Check rotor. Oh, we got a little high there, but that's okay. And we cruise down about 70 miles an hour. So what I'm doing is pulling up and pushing down on the collective as required to maintain 100%. And you notice we got up there just for a second really high, but no big deal.
Yeah. What was it, just to bump it because of the airflow?
Because of the airflow, right? So at the bottom we do a flare, we level, roll the throttle on, and then we would slide down. We were still flying at 93% there, so we would have just slid a little bit on the ground.
You would have kind of just hit.
Yeah. And then we get 100% back, and we take off again. So 112 is a little over, just for about a second or two, but all we do is we just do a good post-flight, make sure everything's good. The danger is if it's there for too long, this guy's good, is, you know, you start straining like the retention bolts and everything on your system, so you just want to make sure that those aren't pulling away or anything like that. So that's why you always do good post-flight and pre-flight inspections. So I'm usually pretty good about catching that, but you just got to be quick on it. That's what I'm saying. You got to respect it. You got to practice this often. But it's a non-event. You see, once everything's stabilized, 70 miles an hour, maintain 100% RPM.
Cross runway 36.
Yep, I see the bird. Keep your landing area in sight. You're good. These guys usually dive.
There's a bunch over there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not. So that bump was just.
Yeah, that was we were getting a lot of that airflow, so I increased the collective, and that's the bump. So I increased the drag.
So we should have had a little more down.
No, we should have had more up, and that's why we had the bump, because I pulled up in the collective, increased the drag, and it stopped the overspeed. And then we'll make the approach right to our landing area.
And then she just whoop.
Yep. And then once everything was stabilized, she was fine.
Yeah.
06 Alpha, I'd like to make the approach direct to the east parking ramp there for full stop.
And say again, 06 Alpha.
Helicopter 06 Alpha, I'd like to go to the east T-hangar parking ramp there, direct approach there for a full stop.
Helicopter 06 Alpha, landing will be at your own risk. The wind is your call.
Landing at your own risk, helicopter 06 Alpha, clear the lane.
That's the coolest thing about a helicopter. You can just go, we're going to go right there.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. And my hangar's right here, the one with the closest one to us, the tan one with the door open.
Yeah.
That's our hangar, so I can land there directly if I wanted to. I normally don't, because I want to give myself a nice wide berth to take off. But, you know, if we needed to, and I've done it before, you can land there.
That's awesome.
Space Coast Tower 15 Alpha Papa on Alpha on the 36, ready for takeoff.
And I'll just park in front there, next to the ramp, and then we'll shut it down so she can hop on in.
Make right traffic, and now report a midfield downwind.
Clear for takeoff, right traffic, I report them.
Yeah, I think that guy builds like water filters or something in that hangar. Water purification system. Yeah, we can set it down on here. It's good practice for me.
Yeah, I love it. You're always pushing yourself. That's
Yeah.
really good.
And I'll just ask you to make sure that everything is good on that side.
Yep.
And we're lined up properly. Sometimes I got to do this a couple times to
It's
get
hard,
good
man.
alignment. Alrighty, and how are we looking?
A little bit, like, there's good. That's awesome.
That
Talk
was
about
it.
a potential rollover.
Oh yeah,
Is this thing?
yeah. But it's a good, nice, calm day, so we're just gonna roll her down, let her idle, and then it's basically just let everything cool down. You notice how loud this thing is. I feel like I'm screaming when it's at 100% sometimes.
Awesome, man.
Stand by there.
I'd love to do some training.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, I'd be more than willing to give training to guys. It's just, You know, the thing is, I know my machine. It is what's everybody else. How do they build their machines? You know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things like, all right, did you build your machine good? Am I comfortable? I'm not at that level where I can look at it, somebody else's machine and everything looks good, and I would get in and go fly, because there's things you have to have confidence in looking at and ensuring, like certain alignments on the cog belt system and the secondary shaft. There's like a pretty good tight tolerance on there. You got to make sure they got everything lined up and the right tensions on there. Otherwise, it can cause failures, right?
Yeah.
So you're basically getting into somebody else's machine and trusting that they get all that stuff done. So
Experimental, so you don't even have to have like